Recording in progress.
All right, well, we'll get started. I do see someone. Test, yes. All right, so it is working. So I've got some tests. Thank you, Sergio, for commenting on that. So we're gonna get started. People are gonna get chime in. Everyone can log in. You know, I don't need to let anyone in. So we'll get going here. It's 6:05. So we're gonna be running this workshop for about 35 minutes tops. Hopefully we can provide some valuable information. My name is Luz Lluncor with New World Mortgage, and today I have a special guest, Courtney Richards from Case Real Estate from Case LA, Case Orange County. And it's great to have him here because he's just going to provide to us a lot of great information. And just to introduce myself, you know, I'm located in the city of Downey. I've been here for 23 years. I've been serving the East LA, and Orange County community. Passionate about first-time buyers, you know, work with a lot of investors. And the goal is for today's workshop, it's to give valuable information, not to first-time buyers, but future investors as well. And my friend Courtney here is going to talk about all the great hacks about building an ADU, how he sees the market out there, and where do you think you can benefit by obtaining and buying these type of properties. So I'm going to introduce Courtney. Courtney, you want to introduce yourself to the audience here?
Hey, how's everybody doing? Like Luz mentioned, my name is Courtney Richards with Case Real Estate. Our brokerage is actually in the OC as well as Los Angeles. So we're kind of all over. We work with buyers, first-time buyers. We work with developers. We work with investors. We work with a bunch of sellers. It doesn't matter. If you're thinking about getting in real estate or buying a home or selling a home, we are the experts. And so I'm excited to be here to talk about ADUs. It's something that I'm extremely familiar with. And I love the term house hack. I originally got involved in real estate as an investor because the house hack or the BRRRR method or any of those methods that you've probably heard of, they blew me away. Just to think about, this is how investors and developers think about real estate, think about generational wealth. I find that fascinating. And so I'm extremely excited about talking about house hacking, ADUs, that whole thing it really excites me. So I'm glad to be here. Hopefully we'll be able to add a little bit of value.
Yeah, definitely. You know what? And it's interesting that you say that because there's a lot of people out there that I know that's what sparked the interest in real estate, was to be able to be in this like home hacking, like what is the opportunity? How can I increase value? What makes things work, right? And I think that's super important for people. So we're going to slightly cover on financing. I just want to give everyone just, you know, enough information on the financing part of it on ADUs, but we're really here to kind of cover that opportunity in real estate, that opportunity to gain equity through an ADU and the benefits about ADU in today's market. So that's really what I have Courtney. He is the expert on this, you know, on the real estate part. I take care of the financing, but I want to hear more from him and what he's seeing out there in the market. So we're going to be going through just the minor stuff, just, you know, slightly on the financing. And I don't want to bore you. Financing is really boring. So I don't want to bore anyone with too much information, but just enough to get us in. Okay. So we're going to be covering, let me get to the next slide. And this thing allows me to move. Uh-oh. Okay. Let's see here.
No worries, Luz. While you figure that out.
I got it.
Oh, you got it. Okay, good. I had another little nugget for you.
No, go.
Listen, I'm telling you, I love this. I love this topic. So think of it like this. Say you are just a single person out there and you want to buy a home. So you buy a house and then you go, you know what? I'm going to buy a 4-bedroom. I'm going to buy a 4-bedroom house. You can buy a house and only need 1 bedroom and rent out the other bedrooms and have those payments cover your mortgage, so you essentially live for free. That's like in a one home situation. So the ADU is the same thing, but it's another home. So go ahead, Luz. I'll let you
Yeah.
start, and then yeah,
No,
we'll get into it.
no. That's, actually someone just said that my screen was not showing up. So can you guys tell me if it's actually, you see it, Courtney, the screen?
I see it. Yes, I see it.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Because I've been having a lot of challenges with Zoom lately. I don't know why. I upgraded the Zoom version and it just goes everywhere. So in case you don't see my presentation, we'll keep going, okay? We'll keep going, so don't worry. Can you hear it? See me now?
I can see you, and now I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Courtney, if for some reason I stop and my Zoom unclicks, just move on, okay? Keep going.
I got it. I got it.
All right. So we're going to talk about different types of financing on ADUs, different types of renovation mortgages, which is going to be very fundamental when you start looking for an ADU. You want to know, can I build? Can they finance it? All the million questions my clients have when they see something converted, right? Everything is converted or ready to be converted. We're going to talk about what is an ADU really to the financing world, the 5 types of ADUs that's out there, different types of models. And Courtney's going to, dive into that because he's out there, he sees them, I'm behind the scenes just doing a lot of the financing and the benefits of these type of loans and the type of property by obtaining an ADU. So a lot of great stuff, and any questions you guys have, please, let us know. We'll be answering them in between. I'll start monitoring the chat as Courtney talks a little bit more about ADUs. Okay. All right. So we talk about renovation loans, ADU loans, and we try to always say that one loan fits it all, really. The type of loans that we do, it's to help homeowners, investors, and sellers to obtain the best financing possible to be able to build an ADU or complete and legalize an existing ADU in their home, okay? Because a lot of time as a seller, that you can't sell your home and get the maximum value of your property unless it's fully permitted. So we're able to actually lend on that so you can maximize your property, and you can have an agent like Courtney list your property and sell it for more. So you always want to do that. You want to check in with us when it comes to that aspect. And if you're a buyer and you're buying a property that has already an existing converted garage, but it's not permitted, and it's hard for you to obtain financing, this is when this type of loan is also going to help you convert the garage illegally, perhaps add more square footage to the existing conversion, and get the most of your value on the property, okay? So it really is for one loan that does everything, whether you're planning to sell or to buy the property, or even refinance your mortgage. This particular product will help you get those funds. These are just really quickly some of the renovation chart about different types of loans that we have available. Our most popular are Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac loans because they don't have a PMI if you already have equity built up. And of course, your FHA loan, which is our most popular. Everyone knows these renovation loans primarily with the 203K. The consumers, all they've heard in the past, and currently they talk about these loans through a 203K, but it's just not the only type of loan. There's various types of programs out there to build an ADU. So depending on the circumstances, whether you're an investor, a first-time buyer, or a second homeowner, you can actually, obtain financing by using one of these 3 programs. I am not going to go through all of them detailed line by line because I will spend probably about an hour here explaining all the guidelines. But I do want to tap just briefly on the types of difference of the loans and who can utilize each product, right? So on FHA loans, we know that it is for first-time buyers, and you can actually obtain a loan with 3.5% down payment, and you can finance up to 4 units and be able to renovate, okay? A big question I get asked on this is, if I buy a 4-unit property, can I build an ADU? And the answer is no, because that would be a 5th unit and we only finance up to 4. Okay, so that's been a big question as we've been giving out the grants throughout the year. Can I build the 5th unit on my property and can I obtain the financing? And the answer is no. But if you do have 3 units and you want to build the 4th one, an ADU, then that will make it eligible to obtain any type of financing. Okay, so if you see a triplex or a duplex and you want to build an ADU to get the most of cash flow, then you can build an ADU on these type of loans. So that's such a great, question that I've had multiple times this year as we gave out the grants, which we ran out of money on December 18th. That's why, running out of the money of the grant just was such a great indicator that there's a lot of people building ADUs. I mean, it's just the amount of inquiries that we received in applications for ADU grants was tremendous. It was $40,000 to grant, so that was not enough to build the ADUs, but there was a lot of money reserved out there by the state of California and more to come. Okay, so that's one standard on an FHA loan. And of course, then you have your traditional conventional loans for them, which is acquired for, investors and owner occupied. So this is, we're going to talk about a little bit about the ADUs. What is an ADU? And it's an accessory dwelling unit, right? A lot of times we're like, it's not ADUs, it's ADU. I get a lot of ADUs as well. It's not an ADU, it's an ADU. And who can benefit from it, right? And we'll tap into the financing as we have this conversation. But Courtney, can you talk a little bit, elaborate some more on ADUs?
Absolutely. So yeah, the ADU or the ADU, however you would like to say it, yes. I really love this model, especially being in California where there's a housing shortage. And you kind of have to get creative with adding another unit. And I kind of teach it even to my kids in this way, where we play Monopoly all the time. And so the goal into playing the Monopoly is not to just have one house on one property. It's thinking bigger and trying to expand a little bit and expanding your portfolio. And so an ADU is a really cool way to do that, where you have a house and depending on the lot size, you can add another house onto that property, that's the simplest way to think about it. Having a single family home on a nice size lot with a huge backyard, with a garage preferably, and that garage you can convert to another living space. Some people call them mother-in-law suites because we had a client in LA that bought a house with an ADU, and literally their mother-in-law moved into the ADU, and now they have built-in babysitting. And so it's just a way for someone to maybe offset the mortgage cost. You can rent it out. You can have family members live there. And I think the added benefit is getting a home, either buying a home with an ADU or building your own ADU, and then not stopping there, figuring out how to have that as in your portfolio, and then buying something else and moving out. Now you have 2 units that you can rent out. And that's the path to creating generational wealth, where you can always have something in your portfolio. You can have 2 rental properties at that point. And one of the things that we like to think about is flow. So if you have an ADU and you're living in the main house, or maybe you're living in the back house and you're renting out the front house, and then you decide to move out, now maybe you're renting those 2 units out, and maybe those rents are not only paying the rent on those 2 homes, but paying on your new home as well. And so it's just an opportunity to create generational wealth, which is, what's really big for me. I have 3 kids, and so I want to be able to leave something for them. So yeah, the ADU is a really great opportunity for that.
Yeah. Are you seeing more? You're out there in the market, and we see a lot of inquiries, people wanting to build ADUs. Do you see more investors out there actually building them? And is there a huge difference on price from traditional? I mean, what are you seeing out there?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So we're finding end users, people that want to just live in a home. They're looking for an opportunity to build ADUs, as well as investors. So here's the little key, right? You need to make sure that you build your team, have an agent, and have a lender that's able to understand the whole model, the ADU model. So for example, if someone came to me and said, hey, I wanna buy a home. I'm not an investor. I don't know much about building an ADU, but I wanna make sure that I have the capability to build an ADU at some point. So one of the things that we're gonna look at first is what's the zoning of this home? And that's something that just an average person won't ever think about. Every block has specific zones. And if you have a zone that is, let's just say there's a zoning called RD 1.5, which means you can have one unit for every 1,500 square feet. So if we find a lot that's 6,500 square feet, that lot, and it's RD 1.5, you can build multiple units. So you can have a junior ADU, which is attached to the home. And then if you have a garage, you can convert that garage to an ADU. So now you have 3 units. And so the zoning is really important. There's certain zoning that allows for more units, and there's zoning that only allows for 1 ADU. So zoning is important. And when we find a client or a developer or an end user that is interested in a home, when we meet, yes, we'll start figuring out like, hey, what's the goal? And yeah, we've seen quite a few developers look into specific zoning, because at the end of the day, they know the zoning makes sense for more units. Therefore, they'll pay a little bit more for a property if they know the return on investment is there, because they can do more in the home. They can do more in that lot, in that particular investment. So yes, we've seen a ton of developers go, hey, we need to find opportunities to build ADU.
Yeah, so we have one question, Courtney. It's 1,600 square feet lot. Is that too small to build an ADU?
A 1,600 square feet lot?
Yeah, seems kind of small,
Yeah,
right?
that's a really, yeah. So that would be probably the size of a house. Lots, we've seen half lots that are just under 3,000 square feet. That's a smaller lot. But a 1,600 square foot lot would be really, really small.
Yeah, yeah. Even if it has like, I think every city has a criteria of what you can build as far as an ADU, because I don't know if a 1,600 square feet lot, would the home even have a garage?
No, yeah, 1,600 square foot lot sounds really small. That's typically like the size of a nice size house.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure, if you're thinking about doing an ADU, you want to make sure that you have a nice size lot. You want to at least be around 5,500 square feet at the most. 5,500 square feet is enough to to do some really cool things. I just saw the other day, I think it was had to be no more than 5,800 square feet, and there's going to be multiple units, at least 14 units on this lot. It's going to be like an apartment building that people can rent out their rooms and have like a kitchenette attached to it. So it's going to be like a shared space. It's going to be really cool. And that's a 5,900 square foot lot. But you want to kind of look for a nice size lot to be able to add that ADU, just because you think about it, there's going to be 2 homes on this lot. You want to kind of have space for people to feel comfortable, for you to not feel like you can't really go anywhere without seeing the neighbor and all that. So that mother-in-law needs a space.
I mean, I think we're just investors or in general buyers are getting very creative on the type of property they're obtaining these days, because we lack space, right? We lack space. We lack homes. There's not enough homes for sale for the growing population. I mean, the migration patterns in Los Angeles, as much as people are going out, people are coming in.
Right.
So,
right.
Just continue to build up. It's starting to just get, out of control.
Yeah.
Another thing, like we're seeing out there, Courtney, like your experience with like selling a property. I mean, can you explain to a little bit about like, what's the value when it comes to like, if you really have an existing home? I mean, I'm thinking about, I have a big space. Why don't I build like 3 houses out of my house, right? Is that
absolutely?
How much more value does that really give a buyer?
It's really ridiculous. And just to give you an idea, I pulled up an example on the MLS. Now, someone bought, I don't know this house. I'm just looking at the history of it. Someone bought a house for $482,000 in 2018. And now it's on the market with an ADU added. It's for sale currently at 1.399. Wow. So they almost doubled their investment by adding an ADU. And so if you do it right, you can really add value. And that's what we like. We like to have value add situations. So we'll find investors and they're saying, hey, well, we got a single family house for sale, but it's a nice size lot. And what we're going to do is we're going to force the appreciation. We're going to force the value. We're going to add value to this property. So it's not just going to be a $489,000 house that we're buying. We can see that we're going to force the appreciation. We're going to add value, and we're going to go build an ADU, and we're going to sell it for more. You always want to think about, how can I improve on this property? Look at your home. And I know a lot of times when we buy a home, we buy with our emotions, and we're thinking like, oh man, we're going to be there for 30 years. But a lot of times the first home that you buy is probably not going to be the home that you stay in for 30 years. And so it's important to think about that as an investment, and how can I add value to get the most return on my investment?
Yeah. So we did have a comment, someone, mentioning about a junior ADU, how does the junior ADU fit? I know I've seen them, right? Like a lot of times people want to obtain financing with us. They want to build an ADU and then another junior ADU. We can only finance a renovation loan with one ADU. And then what I recommend my clients afterwards is to get a line of credit and then build the junior ADU. Because there's ways, right, to obtain financing. There's a lot of ways to layer different programs. But as far as like building a junior ADU, and what are restrictions? Do you suggest that's a smart move?
Yeah, I mean, any kind of way that you can add value is definitely a smart move. It's just more about which way you want to do it. So I'm actually looking at a home now that I want to have as my home to live in, and it's a junior ADU. So it's an actual house that's just attached to the house. So an ADU is typically a converted garage, and it's detached. So it can be like in a backyard, and it's not actually attached. And so there are certain parameters, but it's just it's a case-by-case situation, and seeing like what kind of lot you have and how big your home is, and just kind of what you want to do. It's more of a preference thing. But if you have like for me, I want to make sure that I have enough like backyard space. So it's going to work out better for me to do the junior ADU that's kind of attached. And at the end of the day, it'll look more like a side-by-side type of situation, instead of converting the yard. So I can still have the backyard as just kind of like an outdoor living space, and in case I want to go out and suntan in the backyard and what have you. So
yeah. I mean, you want some privacy, and that's kind of the thing that people worry about, right? When it comes to building ADUs, is, do I have enough space? Do I have enough private space? Am I going to feel like, that there's too much traffic? How the car situation going to go? So finding like that right ADU, always, it's important, the right property to build the ADU, the layout, the square footage, the location, also cars, right? You're talking about traffic. Can I park cars? Now when we have an ADU and a junior ADU, now you're talking about maybe 2 extra cars per unit, or 3, depending on how big the ADU is. Now you're slamming 7 cars in front of your house. What are some of those tips? And, what do you see out there that's worked out? I mean, LA's packed, so it's going to be parking control these days, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And even with some of the designs that I've seen with the ADUs, you get really creative. So you think about parking. A lot of the ADUs and the homes with ADUs, you can keep the driveway. And then what I've also seen is in the front yard, they'll do like half the yard will be like the cement pavers with the grass in between. So you can actually park. It has extra parking, so you can actually park next to the driveway. So it creates a little bit of more space. So you can get really creative with how you want to do it. It's all about what your needs are. Do you need more parking, or do you not care about parking? Are you close to your work? Are you working from home? And like what kind of situation works best for you? It's all about like the person, the preference.
Yeah, well, I see a lot of, in the last year with the CalHealth ADU grants, we saw a lot of requests for these grants. So that tells us that people are, one, not selling, which is, we lack inventory, right? And in the market, we see that there's, a high, regardless of rates, there's still a high demand of consumers and just not enough inventory. And I think one of the big reasons is that people are getting smarter about building ADUs. They're actually just retaining their homes, building the ADUs, catching that rental cash flow, or their property currently that they have, just it's not big enough to build an ADU. A lot of them don't have a garage. There's homes, smaller homes in Long Beach, they don't have a garage. So they're selling their properties and they're finding the alternative type of real estate. Do you foresee more of that future coming in, like more and more people building ADUs and depending on the area?
I do. And I've just seen it a ton, depending on the neighborhood. I've seen it a ton where homeowners are staying in their homes and they're building ADUs, or buyers are looking specifically for homes with ADUs. It just creates more opportunity, especially in especially just with the housing shortage. You have parents or families that have parents that are getting older and they want them close. And I helped a client buy a home, just a single lady working for UCLA. She bought a house that already had an ADU, and she just renovated the ADU, and she lives in the back ADU and she rents out the front house. And so we're definitely seeing it a lot more, especially in California. As far as developers are concerned, you really have to get creative with what they're buying, just making sure that there's enough opportunity to add value because of like the home prices. But yeah, I think people are just starting to see the benefit of adding a unit. It's just really cool.
Yeah, and you know, also too, what I'm noticing within the financing world, that there's still as much as everyone talks about ADUs and as much information that's out there, there's still a big lack of education on real estate, right? Like, I mean, we know it because we're engaged with the ADUs and we do the renovations and we're involved, but you know, a lot of people are asking, you know, is it the right thing to do? Is it, you know, a lot of people are even afraid that by building an ADU, they might lose, you know, an opportunity to sell their homes in the future because someone might want just a single family, not a house with a garage converted. You know, I get that too. I'm starting to get that question like, hey, what if I buy something and later on I want to sell it and the family, it's not going to want to buy a house with the converted garage? You know, what do I do then? So I'm getting those questions now. They're starting to see a little bit more of the ADUs build out. What do you think about that future right there?
Yeah, I think that's really cool. I think that, you know, I haven't seen anyone go, I like this house, but I like this house, but it has an ADU. I don't want it.
Okay.
I haven't seen that at all. I've seen more buyers going, can I do an ADU here? Versus the other way. So I would assume that it's not something to think about in terms of, if I do an ADU, am I going to be able to sell it? I think in California, with the housing shortage, you're always going to have someone that's looking for an ADU. I mean, in our team, we have developers on our team, and one of the guys on our team who Luz, you know, but they specifically do ADUs and never have an issue with like selling those ADUs. In fact, those are the things, that's really the selling point is, man, this has another unit. I can rent this unit out. My mortgage is now cheaper than I thought it would be. Or now my mom can live here. That's literally the reason why I'm looking at a house with a junior ADU, because my mom lives in Minnesota and I want her to move in. That's literally the reason why I'm looking at a house with a junior ADU.
Yeah. And you know what? And like you said, you know, that's always going to be the main thing with people is like, you kind of tapped a little bit about like the rental income. How does that work? Right. And we're going to cover a little bit about how rental income is going to help you qualify and what type of financing is available, because there's a lot of, you know, misinformation about, you know, actually using rental income from an ADU to help you qualify for a home loan. So we'll kind of tap into that in the next slide. So anything else you want to cover from this? Courtney, are we all good?
I mean, I would say definitely, you know, we are a resource for you, and there's a ton of questions that may arise, but reach out and ask us questions, and let's find what fits you. That's what I would add to that, because I know it's probably going to be, there's a lot of questions. So
yeah, and I have some, and I'll answer them in a minute. So I know there's some questions in the Q&A, but we're going to go to the next slide just to make sure we cover everything. And Courtney, don't go anywhere. You're still going to again engage here a little bit more. We want to hear more from you.
I see. I
All
just
right,
pulled
so
up the Q&A. I didn't realize there were questions coming in.
yep. I'll answer them right now as we go. So here are just a little bit, some types. I got this from one of contractors that we work with. We actually did a cool presentation with some contractors a few months ago, and we talked about just specific construction, pros and cons on square footage, pros and cons on building up, site and stuff. It was a really great presentation by a friend of mine that's a contractor. But here are some different types of ADUs that you can actually build and that we can finance, right? Just keep in mind, we can't finance two ADUs at the same time, but once we close the loan, we could always give you a line of credit because now you have the value, and then we look at future value of the property and when you can build your junior ADU in the future. Okay, so here are just some examples. I mean, obviously it doesn't work. Just to keep in mind, one of the things that he did mention is that not every type of this property will actually work on every city. Some city has, their overlays on what you could build, how you could build, and what you're allowed to build. These are just examples of different types of ADUs that they have seen built in the past. Okay. How did that slide go through? Are you controlling my screen, Courtney?
No,
You're
my
playing tricks
hands
on
are
me.
off. My hands are off.
So, so here are some samples. What do you see more common, Courtney, in LA area? What's the most common way of people building ADUs?
The most common way I've seen is the garage conversion ADU. There's some
Okay.
areas I know specifically in Culver City, you can do like the above ground ADUs as well. But the one that I'm most familiar with is the standalone ADU, the garage conversion ADU, and a little bit of the addition, the bump out ADU, which is the junior.
Okay.
That's the junior ADU.
Okay, this one. Conversion of
Yeah.
existing space. Yeah. I don't see too many people building within inside their home, even though, that is a great idea. If there's not enough square footage to build out and there's a lot of big space, that would be my case. I think I would want to convert from my existing space.
Yeah.
Versus
Yeah.
giving more, taking away my grass.
I like the ADU, and as an investor, as a developer, all of these ways are great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me get to some of these questions really quick before we go on the next slide. Simon asked if we can do these loans with the SB9. Unfortunately, no, these type of loans do not layer with the SB9 programs. I know the SB9 programs have their own thing on their own, and I can send you some literature on that as well. Also, too, another question that came in, do we need to refinance the primary loan if we want to benefit from the grant? So that is a great question. The grants are no longer available, unfortunately. They stopped on December 18th. That was the last day of reserving any grants. If they do come out with new grant program, it's not necessary for you to refinance your primary mortgage. You can actually obtain a line of credit that it's held with an escrow account. So you have access to the $40,000. So if you are in our database now, you'll always receive information from us that's going to keep you up to date with these grants are coming. And also, a lot of the cities have a lot of great grants out there right now. For if you're a first-time buyer and you're buying in the city of Long Beach, just so applications should be coming up soon. You're able to get, up to $25,000 from the city of Long Beach to buy a house and build an ADU with that money if you like. So there's a lot of stuff, a lot of benefit for first-time buyers right now. And if you missed our workshop on that, it's also online and you can view it again. All right, so let's go on to the next slide and talk a little bit about more on the financing part of these ADUs and who can benefit. You gave a lot of great ideas, Courtney, about who can benefit on these, ADUs from a financing perspective and value perspective for future homeowners. These are just some of the great benefits that people can obtain when it comes to the financing. So let's go just really quickly one by one on home buyers. Obviously, they can transform outdated homes in great locations, right? We've seen that a lot. So a lot of properties in LA primarily, are distressed. They haven't been remodeled since like 1956. Some of these homes, I walk in there, you see that they're very outdated. These renovation mortgages can actually help you upgrade, which you guys do a phenomenal job with those homes. I see that all the time.
Man, and I'll tell you, like, that's one of the hardest things I think to communicate is that when you see, and I'll just call them, I'm sorry, but sometimes you'll see an ugly house
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
house will be completely like a nightmare. But if you could just have a little, like, use your imagination, like, these homes turn out gorgeous. It is ridiculous. So
Yeah.
don't be afraid of the ugly home. Those
Yeah.
are some of the ones that turn out to be like just ridiculous. We
And
all
I've
need a
seen
little
them.
bit of love.
I've seen them. I've seen them. I've seen you guys turn these like really ugly properties, and you show me the pictures. You're like, Luz, can we get financing? And I was like,
Man,
oh my God, what is this? Like,
it's
and we
falling
do.
apart.
Yeah, they're falling apart, and we can get them financed, and we can get $250,000 in a
Yeah.
loan additional to what you get to be able to fix these homes. And then by the time they're done, they're beautiful. They're
Yeah,
beautiful. So,
I would love more buyers that are gonna live in homes to like really buy homes like that, because investors, they get it. They see an
yeah,
ugly house and they're like, the uglier the better, because they're just gonna force appreciation. They're gonna
yeah,
add value. So I want more like buyers and families that are gonna live in these homes to buy those ugly homes and just add the value yourself. You
yeah.
can customize yourself.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I think these, type of financing is available for first-time buyers or investor to be able to do that, right? And like you
Yeah.
said, you work with the investors who are buying, all cash, maybe hard money lender. These are the investors that are just starting up, right? This is my first investment. I want to start up with something. Can I get financing? And this is the right way to go. Okay,
Yeah.
so you want to be able to, obtain financing with little down payment, 3.5%. It's really the key. Also, homeowners can, like you said, expand and enhance the value of their home. They can remodel it without, depleting their savings. So if you have your own money, don't use it. Use the type of financing that's going to give you the money. So one of
Yeah.
the things that people make more money, it's on banks' money, not your own money. So keep your savings, do not use them. And real estate agents like yourself can also benefit for these type of loans, right? They're, hard to sell listings. There's some properties that are really difficult to sell. Using these type of mortgages for that seller to be able to remodel their property and get their highest value can also be, a way to get out of that property. Contractors too, we know a lot of contractors out in the industry that when they're giving bids, their biggest challenge is the homeowner have enough money to finish the construction. Using this type of loan can help them, ease that financial responsibility from the buyer. Their money is secured and guaranteed to them direct from us. So it gives them the confidence to know that they're going to receive the payment throughout the whole time. So that's, our contractors love these loans. We get a lot of referrals from contractors. They're like, my client ran out of money, go to Luz. So it's like such a perfect way to get funding. And investors, right? Investors can also purchase a property that needs repairs and updates. They can rehab the home, they can build the ADU, they can build a junior ADU or remodel the property itself and have future value ready the moment they get their keys. So that's the great thing about these loans, is that once you're done with the property, your home is already worth a lot more than what you expected. Like you mentioned earlier, that $1.3 million property, that's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm looking at it right here. When I saw it, I'm like, I gotta show this one. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so engineers can also benefit from them because, they know that there's buyers out there that have no money to be able to access these type of loans. So these renovation mortgages, who are really not talked about at all in our industry, are a great way to get you and your family into a home that needs work without having to pay a hard money lender for high interest rates, right? Hard money lenders are super expensive. They pay a lot of points. And it's honestly easier to qualify with this type of loan than anything else out there. So underutilized, definitely. And I know we've used it with your team, these type of loans, that we've been able to get a lot of clients into their homes. And we're still using them.
Yeah, they work.
All right. Okay, so qualifications for the loans, just really quick, they're no different than any type of loans. Your credit qualifying for them, and income, debts, debt to income ratio is still part of the type of loan. You only need a 620 credit score for an FHA loan to qualify for up to 4 units on our products. We do use, so if you're buying a home that has an existing ADU already built, permitted, ready to go, we can use the rental income of the ADU to help you qualify for a home loan, okay, on a specific mortgage loan. So that's a big question for a lot of people. The house and ADU, can I use it to buy another home? Right now, I have a scenario with a client that has a home with an ADU. And now he wants to buy another primary residence to build an ADU in the future, but he wants a better location, larger space, more room to build. And he was worried that he can't qualify. He's going from a area that the values are about 700,000 to an area now that the homes are worth 1.2 million. Okay. So it's a huge upgrade for him, right? And the fact that he has a home with an ADU allowed him to qualify for this larger home, because now we take the rental income and his 60 mortgage, but also the ADU that he's already has rented.
Yeah.
So now we count like 2 rental incomes to help him qualify for the future home.
Smart.
It's such a smart way. You know, he called me and said, is it possible? Can I do this? I have like, absolutely. As long as the ADU, it's already legal and permitted, you can use the current market rents there or your existing lease, whichever one, right? We want to use whichever one, it's the best one. And we're going to give you 100% of that rental income to help you qualify for the future home. Okay.
That's such a good example. That's literally, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, you know, and it works. I mean, you're talking about, you know, 4,000 income cash flow that I can give him credit to qualify for a larger home. And then the home that he's buying has already an existing ADU. So I can give him a rental income for that ADU. And then now he can qualify for $1 million plus property.
Yeah. Smart.
With the 5% down now too, because the income limits increased to $1 million. So it's just a slam dunk kind of transaction, right? So it's about getting creative, finding that solution to the client and figuring out a way of how those ADUs are helping homeowners access properties with higher values and more equity.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Right? It's awesome. It's like when I see that, I'm just like, I explain this, you know, to everyone that I talk to, they're like, how does that work? And his mortgage now in this $1 million home, it's only going to be like $2,300 after all his cash flow. Right?
Pretty good. Yeah.
It's such a great way to do it. So just know, like, all the renovation work, it's, you know, prepared for us, and we pay out the contractor on these type of loans. We want to know what you're building before that, and then we're going to pay them out. So, you know, we're not going to go into detail on these type of loans because it's not about the loan itself. It's about finding those opportunities with housing. So we have a different presentation for that we can share with everyone once we're done with that. So a few big ahas is that you can get into a home, build an ADU with as little as 3% down payment. That's it. That's just like, you know, it's such a big win, you know, have access to 3%, get qualified, have access to an ADU, have that qualifying income to be able to get into a property. And I know we've done it in the past, and we'll continue to do it in the future as homes continue to be the challenge in LA and we lack inventory. We just can't have enough homes. And people are not going to sell as much anymore, I think, right, Courtney? I mean, what do you see out there?
Yeah. I mean, people are staying put. It's getting crazy, and the news is just saying a lot of crazy news. And so people are staying put. So
yeah. But the old ugly homes are for sale.
Do it. I was just literally thinking, like, I see it all the time. We see these old homes and we go and see them, and say for whatever reason somebody decides not to get it, I still will get the Zillow alerts. I will still get all the Redfin alerts about that house, and I see when it's renovated and I see what it sells for, and I'm like, buy the ugly house. Yeah,
for sure. We see it all the time. Courtney, this is questions for you. What is the maximum size ADU that you can build on a property?
That's a good question. I think it all depends on the size of the lot, but you can go up to like a 3-bedroom home. I've seen 2-bedroom homes, 3-bedroom homes in the back of the house. One in specifically in Burbank that our team did. The lot, I want to say, was around 8,000 square feet. Mm-hmm. And so it was literally a 2-bedroom house. Luz, you and I actually walked in this ADU.
Yeah,
And it's a pretty big
that was a
house.
house.
It literally feels like a separate house, and you still even had quite a bit of yard available, and it was a 2-bedroom home. So I think you want to, it all depends on the size of the lot, but a 2-bedroom home, 2-bed, 2-bath home is simple. It's easy to do with
Yeah,
enough space on a lot.
yeah,
You
yeah.
just need certain room for, like, for example, you got to have a setback behind the ADU. So you got to have 4 to 5 feet, depending on the city, of space from the back house to the property line. You just
Yeah.
can't build right up to the property line. So it all depends on the size of the lot. So the answer is it depends.
Yeah, and also too, like, I think every city has a different ordinance, right? So I would definitely check with each city what they permit to build an ADU on each particular property. I know that was one of the things that we tapped into with the last webinar we did with their contractors, that every city has a regulation on the square footage you can add an ADU, depending the type of ADU per city, whether it's the attached, a detached, a junior, up, conversion. Every city is going to have its own criteria. So, the best answer to that question is really like, depend, like the size can be really based on the city's permission.
Yeah.
All right. So ready to renovate, once you get into an ADU, just to kind of go back onto the financing part, everything is the same. Nothing changes. We go through the appraisal. We go through the final loan approval. We do all the pre-closing tasks to make sure that we're ready to build the home, and we'll check with you guys before what we're trying to build with the ADU. We'll work with the settlement agent to disperse all the funds through escrow to the contractor to be able to build out the ADU. And I'll share with everyone a copy of the whole presentation line by line. It's about 30 pages. I don't know if you want to read them. But that's going to walk you through the process. But just know that once you do this, if you choose to work with us and build the ADU, we're going to walk you through the whole process. You're not going to be alone. Okay. We're going to explain to you, we're going to give you all the resources as far as, where to go to get permits, who will be used. We have some references and contractors. I know Courtney has great references for contractor as well. We'll talk to you about the loan. We'll talk to you about the disbursement, what you can do. So you're not going to be alone through the process. We're going to walk you through it. And we have a full team and a renovation department that actually talks to the contractors as we develop this, and nothing gets, not completed. We've been doing these loans for, a lot of years, and our clients are happy because how smooth the process goes. It's so well managed, the disbursement of the funds, and also it's managed to where we have such a great communication with the contractor that you're not going to feel alone in this, especially if you don't have experience building a home. We're going to help you through that. So that's one of the big benefits of these type of loans, is that you're going to get guidance and you're going to get the what to do and not to do when you're building a home. Okay.
Absolutely.
And that's really important. I wish I knew that when I built my home. Nightmare. So let's, this is the last slide. We're just going to talk about some, like Courtney mentioned earlier, some huge benefits on the ADU, which is really future value the moment you walk into your home, right? That story that you said 2 years later, that home is worth 1.3 million, you said?
1.39.
Just building an ADU. I mean, that person, obviously, maybe he did some repairs and so forth, but at least in 2 years, he must have gained anywhere from $350,000 in equity.
Yep. Force that value. You force the value.
You force the value coming in. So these are just some examples of what we see. And it gives my clients too a great opportunity, not just to build the ADU and already have a set future value on there, but one of the great benefits that I see my clients utilizing the last 24 months is that the moment they finish building the ADU, they want more from me. They come back and they say, Luz, okay, my home is worth now 1.4 million. Can I get a line of credit? Because I'm ready to buy the next one. Right. So that's real estate wealth, what Courtney mentioned earlier. Now we're creating real estate wealth from the property. So, and we have access to line of credits. Our company, are now giving HELOCs and second mortgages for our clients to be able to access that. So if you're thinking about buying a second home and you need funds and you don't want to refinance, a line of credit's your best option. it's your best option to get access to money cheap and get going on buying that investment property. So, that's one of the great benefits that we have building the ADU is just cash flow and equity right now. It's going to be the key factor for you to continue to create real estate wealth in the future. And then along with other benefits, it's like you rent one, Courtney mentioned live in another one, collect rents from all the units, you can build a junior and an ADU there, and your return on your investment's a lot quicker to build equity than it would be in a single family. Especially, I think now, in the past, equity is built really quickly, but I feel like now there's starting to be a little slowdown building the equity, correct? So then building these ADUs, you're going to get caught up with other values and other comparison with larger square footage.
Yep, that's a good point.
So what do you other benefits you think I missed out on this, Courtney, that you feel like there's buyers and sellers?
I think you really hit the nail right on the head. I think, it's helpful to just to think this way, to think as an investor, to look at your home as an investment. And I think those are really good points to think about. And I would say it's to build, right? Like every home and every ADU, it's all a stepping stone to really get to somewhere where you're comfortable, where you want to be, and also have a portfolio, a rental portfolio, or just a portfolio of properties that can be your 401k, that can be your retirement, like this cash flow that you're getting, that you're living off of. And every year, every month, the checks are coming in because you made the right decision to build those ADUs and to build that rental portfolio. And I think that's just the way to do it.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think there's such a great benefit. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity out there. Courtney's out there every day. He knows where the properties are at, locations, what they're building, what areas are building. I'm just behind the scene getting the loan done. Of course, through the eyes of my agents, I'm always able to see really what's trending out there. But the reality is that, ADUs are here and they're not going away, right? It is the future of housing and Los Angeles and Orange County area. In fact, all of California. There's more to come, more grants, more loans, more incentive, more city programs, more financing for them. Even pre-manufactured ADUs are going to be the future that we're going to be able to obtain financing for them as well with us through the agencies. That's not yet here, but it's coming. It's already, in place in areas like Joshua Tree, where they're just putting in already pre-manufactured ADUs and be able to obtain financing for them with solar panels. That's the future here in California and Los Angeles area. So it's just a matter of time where, the agencies make the announcement that's going to be a new way to build and to add on value to your home and take away the headache of waiting for a contractor to finish your home for a year. Just comes, pre-pack, open them up, and it's ready, and you have your ADU in less than 60 days. So that's the future here. Definitely stay, informed of what you can do as a buyer to be able to buy a great opportunity. Let us know how we can help you. Courtney's here to help you. We'd love to send information to you if you're interested in obtaining a property, or just chat with us. Let us know how we can help you. And if there's no additional questions, Courtney, do you want to wrap it up? I think we kept everyone a little bit longer than we expected.
No, I'm all good. Let's make sure you reach out. We're here for you. We're here to help. Let's get going. Now I'm excited. I'm ready to go look for some ugly houses.
Yes, that's right. All right. Thank you, everyone. We have your info. We'll send over the PowerPoint presentation along with the renovation mortgages financing sheet. So I'll check in with everyone that registered. If you have any questions that we can help you with, we'll let we'll contact you right away. Thank you.
Have a good one.
All right, let me see. Let's end this.